Hi everyone, Peter Exarian, Northeast Performance Institute. We're at our new indoor performance center at the Apex. Really happy to be here, really happy to start 23 on a great note. This video is a little more complex than some. If you're not into the deeper parts of performance or math, maybe this is not the video for you, but I really wanted to lay out why I specifically work with high levels of simplicity in your thought process and your technique. Really in explaining with the math behind it, and really something I came across 2 years ago during the pandemic, Eric Weinstein's geometric unity theory. I saw an episode of the Joe Rogan podcast where Eric really appeared and spoke very well about this theory that he's had. He calls it the theory of everything. I then in turn watched a Simone lecture at Oxford where he spoke for about an hour and a half on the subject, a lot of math, a lot of high level stuff, and it really resonated with me. I've watched this and really studied it for the last 2 years, and it's influenced my coaching very significantly in the sense that it gave it a different type of structure. So again, this is explaining why simplicity is important. So even though what I'm going to talk about next is very complex, it's our own journey to simplicity and to understand why it's very, very important for your thought process and your own process in general needs to be simplistic. So in golf specifically, Lynn Marriott, Pia Nielsen with Vision 54 have provided a structure and tools for the player to handle the number of inputs that they're taking, along with most recently Ian Highfield and his team that really have created a structure known as OSFIA. Again, great work done by these groups of people, and this is really explaining why the tools they provide to the player are so incredibly productive and helpful. So again, let's go back. Let's get back to Eric Weinstein's geometric unity theory. His whole point is very complex. He's looking to unify 3 levels of math to reach a higher level of quantum physics. We're not going to get that complex here. We want to look at this specifically in the context of athletic performance. So I've classically been a golf coach, so we're going to use the golf as a context for this, and then we are going to go from there, and I'm happy to answer questions in DMs, offline, whatever you might have. But let's take something of a bold new step forward in considering how the math behind it is really validating a structure of coaching and performance. Okay, so let's take a look and consider the player in an arena moving in 3 degrees of freedom and moving forward in time, so essentially working in a 4-dimensional world. Playing in an arena, they have a number of influences. Number one being something of an external force of a spectator, and we'll see how later that relationship with that specific spectator can influence the performance. And then we have what's happening on the field. So what's happening on the field is not only influenced by what's happening in the stands, but really is dictated by how this player can accept, control, and potentially limit the number of inputs that's being taken. So really, let's look in the sense of golf. We have the shot we're going to play, and then let's say T stands for technique. But if the technique thinking gets too complex, you're really going to reach a certain level of meltdown at 4 inputs. So what we've really been able to deduce through the study of this theory, and again, it is a theory, and I'm just presenting this as bold new ideas for you to consider, but we really perform athletically well max as an old school 56K modem. After that, and once we get past 4 inputs or 4 thoughts or 4 points of stimulus, we start to melt down, and your performance really starts to fall off and struggle. So the reason why my coaching is so simplistic is that we have this piece right here, which is ever present, the performance. In the case of golf, it's a golf shot, and really what we're working for right here is just one key baseline technique point. Regardless of what's happening, regardless of the context of the shot, and we're looking to reduce all of this noise internally. Because potentially this person right here is providing another input. So S is for spectator. So not only is the spectator in some context providing an input or a stimulus to the player, consider what if this is a person's father or mother. The level of amplitude coming from that spectator to the player is more significant if there is no relationship at all. Correct? So I've drawn this diagram here, which gets much more complex. It's explaining why this player performing is not actually working in a 4-dimensional world, but in a 14-dimensional world. And that every input that's taken in doesn't only carry a value of 4, it's 14. And if we're getting past 4 inputs, this gets to be exponentially more. And then the amplitude of each of these can be weighted differently. So, just to rein this in, because I understand it's getting fairly complex, this is why simplicity is going to be most important. If we can limit it to 2, and you're only taking in half of what is potentially going to be a breaking point, when you have something unexpected come at you, you can handle that. And you need 3 unexpected stimulus to come in to help you reach this breaking point. So in golf, it happens. You can be in this very, very good productive mindset, and someone, pops the brake on the cart, or someone drops their bag, or a siren goes off, or something that's unexpected is going to influence you. If you're operating out here, and some kind of unexpected influence comes in, then you're going to melt down at no fault of your own. But the whole point is to not work here. It's to work in this environment. So regardless of the numbers, I think the numbers just display how complex this can get. And avoiding it becoming complex is the goal. So in my own coaching, this type of structure, this type of data, this type of information has led to a mandatory level of simplicity so that you're living right here. So the whole point of this video is just to share my own perspective on coaching, to explain how geometry and math and this geometric unity theory has been digested and applied to athletic performance. So again, this is a new idea I'm proposing and throwing out into the world. I'm sure there'll be feedback. I'm sure there will be adjustments. But again, as an overall framework, this is guiding the work. Because if you get to be very, very complex in your thinking or the number of inputs you're taking, then you are likely going to melt down and your performance will suffer. So again, really happy to share this idea as a larger concept and how it shaped my own personal coaching. Feel free to reach back out. Thanks so much. Hope you're all well. Happy New Year.